What is going on, everybody? That's actually the first time I used that intro because my next guest actually made it for me. You know him from his own channel, Last Second Sports. You know him from the Hammers and Nails kind of co-stream with him and Jackhammer. He is the one, the only Jesse Naylor. What's up, Jesse?
Hey, man. How you doing, Aaron? It's always good to be on with you. Appreciate the invite to come back, and we made this work on a perfect day. We had no idea a week plus ago when we scheduled this thing that today would be one of the biggest days in football news that definitely does relate to the 49ers. So excited to be on with you, man.
Definitely. I just want to say hi to the chat real quick that's in here. Anonymous Red and Gold, how you doing? JR Meadows, thanks for coming through again, my man. Kimberly Honea, my eyesight's going on me. Let's see who else is up here. Luke Luna popped in. I think he was doing that like off stream. I think he's tattooing. Gregory Ross, thank you so much. Everybody else, thank you for coming in here. So what do we talk about? Let's see. Aaron Rodgers re-signed for 4 years for $200 million, which makes absolutely zero sense because I thought they had no cap money. And it looks like the end of the era in Seattle. Bobby Wagner just got released or has asked for his release, whichever. And as we know, Russell Wilson is no longer a Seattle Seahawk. He's been traded to the Denver Broncos. Man, where do you start, Jesse? Do you want to start with Seattle? You want to start with
well, the biggest drama news is certainly Seattle. That's within the division. That's the most recent. Yes, Bobby Wagner is either going to be released or is released. I don't know if they have to wait till the new league year or how that falls. But Bobby Wagner is no longer going to be a Seattle Seahawk. Rumors are that they are shopping Lockett. And so this whole thing is over for these guys, man. Yeah, there you go. This whole thing is over for the Seattle Seahawks. I said, ding dong, the witch is dead. It's over. They are no longer the bugaboo, the thorn in the 49ers side. This is fantastic news. I mean, the Aaron Rodgers news was big because there's so many different avenues you can go with that. But then this news just came in and trumped everything today. Absolutely insane. I didn't expect Wilson to be moved. There was almost no rumors about it. And then it just happened out of nowhere. You know, all the blue check marks were basically saying it wasn't going to happen. And then it just happened today of all days. And it couldn't have been a better day unless Jimmy had also been moved. But listen, I don't want to ask for too much. I feel like we got a lot of good things happening today, but it is huge, Aaron. This is massive for the 49ers. This is massive for this division. The 49ers are in the driver's seat, right? We obviously have the Rams who just won the Super Bowl to contend with. But with this news and Russell Wilson going to Denver, Von Miller started throwing out some subliminal messages about getting his old locker back. What number should he wear with the Broncos? So it sounds like he's going to leave the Rams and go to the Broncos if he has any ways about it. This is huge, man. This is big, big news and a day that I never expected to come. So I'm excited about it, man. This is, like I said, this is massive. What are your thoughts on it?
I feel like Seattle's been like you said, our bugaboo, our thorn in our side, whatever cliche you want to use to translate that something really sucks and it's always in our way. It's just crazy, man. I remember like how the 2014 season was and we lost everybody. That was one of the most depressing off seasons I don't think I've ever been a part of. And I feel like Seattle Seahawks fans right now, I tweeted or responded to a tweet or I put something, I think it was my community wall. I said, Seahawks fans are mourning right now. They have to be. I mean, this is truly the end of an era. The difference between this team and other teams that move on from people is Seattle has not done a really good job of kind of restocking. So they're in a really bad position. I mean, they have DK Metcalf. That's pretty much that's pretty much it. Like it sucks that happens, but I mean, eventually eras end. But like you could say that the New England Patriots have somehow kept this thing going by moving on from Tom and just doing things a certain way. But it's amazing. You could tell by the amount of people in the chat that are like, there's so many happy 49er fans right now that Seattle is kind of facing their doomsday. It's great. I mean, unless they sign Watson and then all of a sudden we have to just deal with that
Dude,
all over again. Yeah, I know. I'm putting it out there. So now if it happens, everybody's going to unsubscribe to my channel. That's okay.
It was a good run, man.
Yeah, we did as good as we could. I think with the Aaron Rodgers thing that gets to me is just he's such a crybaby, and it's like this drama, this soap opera where he bees and moans all off season, and then he gets what he wants, and then he plays incredible, and then the season ends, and then he bees and moans all off. It's like rinse and repeat. So I'm happy. A lot of people are very happy in this chat. It's nice to see the end of an era, but it also, to me, signifies that if the Niners are going to do anything and make any moves that maybe we don't see expecting, as far as maybe signing a free agent that we don't expect, this is now. You got the Rams, and the Packers, and you. That's it. That's really all we have to worry about. I mean, we could work if you think about it.
Cowboys-ish, like I don't
worry about the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I don't know if I worry about Green Bay. Like, they own Green Bay, right? Like,
the
Rams are it. And this is a team that they had beaten 6 straight times before this. Obviously, losing to them in the playoffs that overrode everything that had happened before that. But this is huge for the 49ers. Like, this is the one team that you could bank at best was going to be a split with the 49ers, and if not 2 losses every year. So yeah, this is huge news for the San Francisco 49ers. But I want to say, I don't know how many people are watching right now. I just tweeted it out. Hopefully more people join, but I don't know the exact numbers, right? Because I don't have your access to your YouTube, but I know that you're close to 4,000 subs. It's less than 20 is what I do know.
I think I need about 15-ish.
All right. So here we go. If he needs 15 to get to 4,000 subscribers, can we make that happen before the end of the show? So share the stream, subscribe to the stream, do what you got to do. Let's get this man to 4,000 before the end of this show. I know it would be huge for him. Aaron is one of the best guys that I talk to on a regular basis in this community. He's nothing but supportive to other people, and just give him some love. So if you've not done so, please subscribe, get him to that 4K before this thing's over. That'd be fantastic. So anyways, yes, about this news, huge news. But I had to get that off my chest.
Appreciate
the goal
that.
is to get you there before this thing ends. So let's get it going.
Appreciate that. And I just want to say props to you. You hit 4,000. You're actually, I think, what do you like, a 4.1, 4.2, something like that?
Yeah, we're creeping up. Yep.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. Like after I messaged you for the stream, I'm like, oh, he lapped me.
He lapped me.
But I don't. It's whatever. I just like the fact. Listen. I'm gonna tell you. Yeah, go make some burner accounts. Yeah, don't do that. I'll get in trouble. I saw that the other day, and I'm like, I forgot what I was gonna say. I totally lost my train of thought. But yeah, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. You're one of the people that I kind of like. You're cool inside YouTube and outside YouTube. You know what I mean? There are some people that are kind of just a screen presence, and then you'll never. So you're a good dude inside and out. So I'm happy for you and your channel, especially everything that went down with that whole situation. I mean, for it to be back and freaking stronger than ever, that's awesome.
And I appreciate that.
I feel with this whole situation, like I had a topic that pretty much, like I said to you, like the Niners, the strength of the, I'm trying to think of how, let me look at the topic. I can't think straight right now. The balance of power. I feel like the balance of power right now is really between 2 teams. With that being said, there was a report, and I know what your answer is going to be, because mine's the same. I saw a report about J.C. Jackson that the Niners would have significant interest. Okay, I don't really get excited about free agency, but that is one move that, if it could happen, I would. If the Niners decided to be ballsy and go for it, I would be down with it. What do you think?
Oh, J.C. Jackson's a dog. I mean, you can't say no to J.C. Jackson. Here's the problem, though, right? Is J.C. Jackson Right now, the highest paid corner is Ramsey. You got 100 million over 5 years. Well, when you're next in line and the salary cap's going to go up the way that it is over the next couple of years, JC Jackson's probably going to want 5 years, 105 million, 80 million guaranteed is what I'm going to guess. When have the 49ers ever gone all in on a corner like that? I can't see it happening. The 49ers, I don't know if this is the way it is for all these other teams, but the 49ers seem to be interested in everybody under the sun.
Yep.
Everybody that's available for trade, everybody that's available for free agency, every prospect in the draft could go to the 49ers. It's rumor season, right? And people stir up a lot of things. It's hard to believe, what's true, what's not true. But what I can say is out of all the rumors right now, I think that one definitely has some legs. I could see them being interested in a corner. I just don't understand going from a philosophy of you pay defensive linemen and go all in on defensive linemen, then go all in and go opposite and paying JC Jackson. I also don't know where the money's going to come from. Debo might be the highest paid receiver when this is said and done. May not last long, right? Because a lot of guys are coming up, but you're going to have a top tier paid receiver, left tackle, middle linebacker, tight end, quarterback eventually, defensive end, defensive tackle, and corner. At some point, something has to give. I mean, there's a reason that Lakin probably is not coming back to the 49ers because they can't afford to pay all these guys. Lakin's probably going to want anywhere from 12 to 14 a year, and they're like, no, we can't do that. So where you're going to pull 20 plus million a year out of the hat, man, that one would be surprising to me. Now, you can free up some money by pushing back Armstead's contract. You do that gives you around 10 million. Ward is due for a new contract. Just by re-signing him, that's going to free up around 6. So you can make some money happen, but let's not forget this team has a ton of players that they need to fill out this roster with. So to me, I think it's unlikely, but would I be interested? I mean, how can you not be interested in a guy that's gotten around 25 interceptions in 4 years in the NFL?
17 in the last 2 years.
Okay, there you go. What, 9 and 8?
That's insane.
Yeah, it is insane. It is insane. Yes.
My brother's a Dolphins fan. Listen, if there's one team outside of this conference that I'm pulling for more than anything is the Dolphins, because they have Mike McDaniel, they have cap money, and their philosophies maybe I would assume is going to kind of shift to the Niners philosophy. I don't know what they're doing on defense. I don't know what kind of defense they're running, but you could see if like guys that the Niners don't sign, maybe a mass exodus to Miami. I told my brother, I was like, a guy like DJ Jones, maybe an Arden Key, a Chakwaski Tart. My brother's, he's not really big. I mean, he wouldn't mind DJ Jones. He says that he thinks that they have a good enough defensive line for it. But yeah, I saw the JC Jackson and I saw the interceptions within 2 years, 17. There isn't anybody on the Niners that's close to those numbers, and there hasn't been for a very long time. I just think the Niners, like Potato said in the comments, great name, by the way. This regime does not value cornerbacks. And I saw a report that says they would look to maybe mid-level for the type of corners that they're looking for, but they're like, they just don't prioritize corners in this regime. They prioritize pass rush. And I mean, it would be nice, I'm not going to lie, to have a shutdown guy, especially for a guy like Cooper Kupp, who is he's just uncoverable at this point. He's like the Niners. He's like the Niners kind of kryptonite right now, as far as what they can do against the Rams. So, I saw it. Like you said, we're connected to everybody. I think what that is just like John Lynch says, we kick the tires on people. We always put our, feelers out there. They do that with a lot of people. They never really sign them.
For sure.
The Niners they run their deal different. They draft and re-sign. The Rams, I went on a Rams stream with Payo Time, and I kind of told the Rams, like, listen, I'm going to give you guys credit. I'm going to stop being sour. You guys do it the way you do it. We did it in 94. 1 year, we went out and we got everybody. So at the end of the day, if a Super Bowl is your goal, however you do it, it works for your organization, go ahead and do it.
Right.
I do like building through the draft because I like to reward guys who have earned it. But I mean, there's I hate this saying, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. So yeah, I don't believe any of that is going to happen. Every big name I see on free agency, I'm like, no, the Niners aren't doing it. They're not doing it.
Now there is a guy that they have not been linked to, which I don't know. Maybe that means that they're just not interested, or maybe low key they are interested, because that tends to be the way it works. It's the guys that you don't hear about, and you're like, oh, whoa, where'd that come from? This is a guy that I've been saying, instead of paying JC Jackson 21, you can pay probably around 16. Instead of going and getting Gilmore, who's a 32-year-old man corner, and paying him 13 million a year to fall apart on your team potentially.
Exactly. I agree with that.
I am upgrading that safety spot. Tart can go. I like Tart, good player, but he has one forced turnover in the last 3 years. The way that I see it is these corners are actually pretty decent. Now, they're not superstars by any means, but they've been put in a position where they haven't even been playing a lot of man, cover one, or even cover two man, especially on third downs. And I think that has really hindered this defense. Really, they've done a good job of holding teams, but those third downs, they play soft squats. All of a sudden, they're giving up big third down plays, and big first downs. Happened against Tennessee, happened against the Rams in week 18, and then again in the playoffs. So allow those guys to play man. And by the way, in a pinch, this guy can play nickel corner, as can Jimmy Ward, and these guys are interchangeable. Tyrann Mathieu, who I'm going after.
Yes.
It's 29 years old. He's an absolute stud, ultra competitive, has a Super Bowl on his resume. I am going after a guy like that before I'm going after, JC Jackson or, any of these other guys. So for me, Tyrann Mathieu is the guy that I really, if you're going to splurge, that's where I recommend doing it. But, who knows? Again, secondary is one of those things the 49ers just don't do. But if it's me and I'm running the team, I'm paying him $16 million a year gladly, fixing that secondary that way, and continuing to build through the draft, getting my pass rushers, doing whatever I got to do. And that's how I'm attacking it.
I like him too, that he has a little bit of swag too.
I do too. Yes.
I'm not against guys having a little bit of arrogance, cockiness.
I feel like this team could use it, frankly. And Jimmy, by the way, Jimmy Ward is very much that guy, right?
Yes,
like this is a guy that went on Cohen's show in the offseason, talked all the trash about Stafford, backed it up, by the way, up until he didn't, and did it again this offseason. Went on IG Live and was talking about how he can't wait to go up against the Chiefs next year. He's going to hold Kelsey to under 50 yards. He's going to lay a hit on Hill. So yeah, to me, like, I love you, especially at that position, you need some swag. So to have a secondary position, a guy with swag, that's always a good thing. I don't think Tyrann Mathieu is a bad guy at all. I think he's an ultra competitor, and I feel like this locker room can hold him just enough. So,
I don't know if this has been confirmed. He said Jamal Adams will be traded. I heard that. They got back their first rounders for him.
Yeah, that's true. But my God, could you imagine trading him, like eating that cap and trading what they did for him? I don't know about that. That would be crazy.
I heard Tyler Lockett is being he's requested to seek a trade, and they've honored it. Mm-hmm. I don't blame him. I don't blame him whatsoever. That'd be someone I wouldn't mind going to my brother's team. I think Miami could use a receiver like that in the pass game for Tua. That'd be a great fit personally. But it's weird. I'm a Niners channel, but I watch a lot of Dolphins games.
Yeah.
With my brother, because I have the ticket. So of course he's got a gigantic TV in his room. So a lot of times when Niners are on commercial or something, I'll go in there and I'll sit in his room and we'll, scream and yell. We both scream and yell at the TV like, "Come on, are you kidding me?"
Yeah, dude, yeah.
I was flipping out during the championship game. I haven't gotten mad in a long time. I was hot.
Oh, I bet.
Every time they couldn't get a third down stop, I'm like, again. And I'm like, okay, Aaron, gotta relax. Like my dad used to yell at me, God rest his soul, when I used to scream and yell at the TV. He's like, they can't hear you. I'm like, so
calm down, man. They can't hear what you're saying. That's so funny. Here's an elite tweet that somebody just threw out. Jamal Adams really forced his trade away from the Jets, only to end up in the Jets Northwest. Yeah, that's true.
That's gonna be a tough. Let's see how loyal those fans really are. Everybody talks about the
They're
12th
not
man.
loyal. They're gone, man. They are gone. And I can't. If I lived in the Northwest still, I'd be drinking their tears all through the night.
I should get a mug made that says Seattle Seahawk tears or Seattle fan tears or something, and just do a stream where I'm just sitting, sipping water, smirking at the screen. One, I would get tons of hate, but I think a lot of people would enjoy that.
Oh, it would be great. Do it like the 49ers logo, but Seahawks colors, and then say like 12th man tears or something like that. I would love it.
I might have to do that. Seriously, that'd be so messed up, but so fun to do. Speaking of all the quarterback news that's happened with Aaron Rodgers, of course, and now with Russell Wilson, we can kind of transition over to our favorite quarterback in the whole NFL, Jimmy Garoppolo. I was hoping that some news would come down today, like kind of just the next step in the process of everything that's happened today, but it hasn't as of now. There was a report that says that he does not want to go to Washington. Do you believe that? And if you had to kind of make a informed guess, you think it's the Colts? You think it's the Commanders? Or where do you think he's going?
I think the Commanders are the team that they've stuck around for me the most because of their current situation. So I look at the Steelers, right? That's a good one.
Absolutely.
I look at the Steelers, right? And on paper, good fit, right? Like this is a team that could easily make the playoffs with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's certainly an upgrade over 50-year-old Ben Roethlisberger, who they were trotting out there. They have the team around him. It's a good fit. But I also look at them and say, well, they're kind of a team that I could see drafting in quarterback. So are they going to give up assets for a bridge guy? Or would they just go sign a Mitch Trubisky, call it a day, draft a guy, let Mitch be the bridge guy and go from there? I think that makes more sense. Then I look at the Colts and I say, well, okay, maybe, but Wentz is a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. Nobody can tell me otherwise. Now, if you want Jimmy for his leadership, sure. I guess I could go there, but Wentz is a better player. So you're going to give up all those assets for Wentz and then get rid of him to bring in a worse version of Carson Wentz. That one doesn't make a lot of sense. So then New Orleans is another team that I look at and I say, okay, yes, especially with Peyton, I thought he made a lot of sense there, but they're up against the cap every single year. And I don't know what the new regime wants to do. So that one's kind of iffy. And then I come to Washington. And Washington, to me, makes the most sense because they have a coach that, quite frankly, needs to win. If he doesn't win this year, chances are he is gone. He will never be a head coach in the league again. That is desperation. Getting Jimmy Garoppolo in that division with that team, they could certainly punch their way to the playoffs. And if they did, his job is safe. So then you add in this complication of, well, Jimmy G's now done two things potentially. One, I don't know how much I believe that report, but let's go with the thought that it's true. First of all, his team comes out and announces he's getting surgery a day before the combine. Worst timing possible.
Horrible.
All right. And now your no trade clause does end at the beginning of the new league year on the 16th of this month. But if you don't want to go to Washington and you expect this team to do good by you after you held off on surgery, I don't care where you want to go. I'll send you to the Jaguars. I'll send you to the Jets. I really do not care. Like, you at this point have zero say in it. And I'm going to send you to a team. By the way, Washington as a team, I know that the ownership's a mess, but the team is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
The team in that division with Jimmy G is pretty good. So if you're willing to turn down them, who else are you willing to turn down? Is the only franchise you're willing to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because if that's the only option, or the Colts, and they aren't interested, I'm sorry. I'm sending you wherever I need to send you. I'm not going to cut you because I'm going to owe you $7.5 million in injury guarantee until another team signs you. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do what's best for my team. You burn the bridge by coming out and doing this whole surgery thing the day before, which, by the way, you could tell the 49ers were not prepared for that. because John Lynch the very next day said he had not talked to Jimmy G.
Yep.
Oh, I guess they decided to get surgery. Okay, we knew it was a possibility, but I guess they decided. So to me, that bridge has been burnt. I don't care what Jimmy G wants. It really doesn't matter to me. Trade him to Washington. I think that's the best fit. I think that's the team that is going to give you the most, and that's where you're going to end up, regardless of whether that's what you want or not.
Exactly. I am 100%, and I have the same anger towards the situation too. Before I ask you my next question, which actually connects with what you just said. He said, Jesse said Jimmy ain't getting 26 million from another team. There's no way. He's not worth it. I've never seen a mediocre quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo dictate terms. I mean, you're not that quarterback, and I just don't understand how him and his agent feel that way. There was actually a tweet. It's probably, I don't know if it was a legit count or if it was just some burner, but it said that the Niners were actually very upset and that his agent Don Yee was pretty much, in so many words, trying to double dip by having possibly the Niners cut him and have to pay a $7 million injury settlement and then go out and get, whatever millions he's going to get out there on the open market. And it's, to me, that's just, I had a lot of respect for him up until that point, but you're right. Trade him to freaking Siberia. This is ridiculous. This is the most ongoing soap opera for a quarterback who's been carried by a good defense and an outstanding running game and a fantastic, intelligent head coach. And people will say, well, when Beathard and Mullins played, they didn't fare so hot. I'm thinking, well, look at them. Look at the quarterbacks. It's Beathard and Mullins. Like, they're not skilled. They're not talented enough. Jimmy's serviceable, and he's a
starter. He's a starter in this league. He's a starter. Those guys are borderline not in the league. So yes, exactly. It's a big gap, a big talent gap. They should win with Jimmy G compared to those guys. But listen, I actually don't fault Jimmy for doing what he did. Jimmy has to look out for Jimmy.
Right.
I really have no issue with him doing that. But on the flip side, if you are in fact trying to stop a trade to Washington because the 49ers are going to do right by you, you took care of you. Now we're going to take care of us. Period, point blank. It's over between us. And by the way, we play Washington next year. So give us that gimme win. Send him over there.
We need to hurt him. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
Don't say that, John. I don't want that happening.
I don't want that kind of karma coming after you. I'm just kidding, guys. It's yeah. When I saw that report, like I said, I don't know if it was, legit, but it made sense that, like, out of nowhere comes this report. Like, and one of the things that it said is he literally could have gotten it right after the season ended. So he would have been already into his rehab. So instead of throwing in, say, July, he maybe is throwing in
late May, early June.
So they kind of screwed the pooch. They screwed the Niners really bad on this. Hopefully somebody's desperate. I really can't see them getting. I don't know what John and Adam Peters are holding out for, but at some point they're going to have to cut the cord on this situation. If you had to give a guess of what pick they could get from this, what round are you going in? I think somebody said they'd be lucky to get a fifth.
Man, I'm going to kind of hold to what I've been saying all along. I said this a couple weeks before the end of the regular season. I think a future fourth that could move up to, a second or a third, depending on how many games he plays or whatever. I could see a situation where they get like a fourth this year and maybe a fourth next year that could move up. I buy that. But this whole first, second, I don't see it. I personally don't see it. Straight out first is not going to happen. Like, let's just get that out of our minds. A straight out second, maybe if they're super lucky, but I really don't see that. I could see a pick that could move up, could escalate to a second in the future, but I can't understand a team being willing to do that at all, other than possibly Washington. But if he doesn't want to go there and the 49ers are going to play nice, then who else is willing to do that?
Exactly. I'm just I'm ready to be done with this whole situation, to be honest with you.
Give
Uh,
me two.
do you think are the Niners going to try to get something in place before the trade deadline? Or excuse me, the beginning of I don't know why I say the trade deadline all the time. Beginning of free agency. I would assume they're going to have something in place before then. Um,
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. I think the last thing to fall right now, there's a couple things actually. So Friday's a big one because Watson's got his hearing. We're going to find out a lot more about what his availability is going to be. That's a big pin that needs to drop. Another one is going to be, again, guys like Trubisky. Wentz, does he get cut? Mariota, just because they're a lot cheaper, right? But those deals can start being worked 2 days before. So I would imagine by if the 16th comes and goes and we hear no sorts of rumors, I start to get a little bit worried. I really do start to get a little bit worried that nothing's going to happen for the 49ers. So I'm curious to see what happens. If I had to make a guess by the end of the 16th, I would say yes, he is traded. But if he's not, man, that's reason for concern if it doesn't seem like any wheels are in motion.
yeah, that would really put the Niners in a serious pinch. Um, as far as the Niners and contracts, I know you brought it up a little bit, but are you surprised they haven't done any restructures at this point? Seeing maybe a Samson Ebukam or a Eric Armstead or a Ward. I love how names are all escaping me tonight. Those have been like the three names that a lot of people have thrown around as saying a potential cap restructuring. Are you surprised you haven't seen anything yet?
Yeah, I am a little bit surprised, but again, that tells me that they're probably pretty confident in moving Jimmy, right? Like that's the big one. After that, you can do those restructures anytime you want to free things up. Maybe you want to see who you can sign or who's engaging with you interest wise. Figure out what that money looks like before you make a signing, and then you rework those deals. But that does give me some confidence again that there is something in the works for Jimmy and that they're confident he will be gone. But yeah, that money is going to be needed, especially if Jimmy is still on this roster come the 16th. So I am a little bit surprised. Yes.
Scott Boyles, but that's an injury or Broyles, excuse me. He says teams know we can't cut Jimmy because of the $7.25 million injury settlement. Plus now this surgery and Jimmy's salary leaves San Francisco no leverage. Yeah, they're definitely in a pickle. Pittsburgh, New Orleans, or Indy might offer a fourth. I think if the Niners get a fourth at some point, they're just going to have to freaking eat crap and like the taste of it and just move on with this situation because it's like a giant albatross that's just like sitting over things. I feel like once that happens and once he gets moved, I feel like everything can start. You know what I mean? Um, it's like it can't come soon enough. You have anything to say? Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I mean, the one thing that I do want to say about that, yes, it does seem like the pendulum has swung completely in the other team's direction as far as having leverage. But there are two things that still give me pause. One, if he hits the open market and a team really wants him, there's no guarantee you're going to get him, right? So that's one that helps the 49ers. But that injury guarantee also gets paid back to the 49ers once he signs for more than the I think it's 7.5 mil, whatever it is. As long as he signs for more than that, then all that money gets paid to him by the other team. San Francisco is not on the hook for any of it. So it's not really that big of a hindrance. If for some reason he signed a deal for less than that, then they would split the difference, but that's not going to happen. I mean, you know, I think the 49ers are actually okay with that injury guarantee, but it is another hiccup. You certainly don't want to carry that money until he does sign. And one thing I haven't clarified, and I said I would, and I still haven't, is I don't know if that money comes back to them immediately or if it doesn't come back until next year. That's what I don't know. So
I'll answer this for you. I know it's for Jesse. I don't think the Niners think that he's worth a first round pick. They're trying to convince other people that he's worth the first round pick.
yeah.
Because if he was, I don't think they would have moved on and traded all of his assets to go and get a guy like Trey Lance. The Niners are being businessmen. They're trying to get something in return for him so they could use it. I don't know, turn it over and use it in a trade, or turn it over and use it in drafting another edge rusher or defensive tackle that they seem to love. But yeah, I really don't think that the Niners believe he's a first rounder. Do you? or first
No,
round talent wise.
they can't at this point. They know what the market is. I mean, the market's been set. There's no way. In fact, I think that what was the rumor this year that so last year they were looking for that, it sounded like. But this year, the first thing that came out is that they were looking for third round ish. So, I mean, if that rumor is to be true, then certainly they knew even going into this whole thing that he's not worth that. So, yeah, they're going to try to get whatever they can. Maybe a third and a player, a fourth and a player, 2/4, something that could escalate to a second. I mean, obviously, they're going to try to get some things, but come on, man. There's no way that they believe he's worth a first. Not now. They can't.
Yeah, unless you're delusional and you live in a fantasy world. I mean, just looking at the results on the field, he, like you said, he's an average starting quarterback and nothing really more than that. So I do think that now that Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are off the market and that the stuff with Watson is in limbo, I think he might find a team sooner than later. I would hope. But I don't think that team. I think that they might make the Niners sweat a little bit. Maybe make the Niners go for a pick that isn't so tasty or the Niners are not going to get what they thought, and the Niners eventually, I think, are just going to have to come to the realization that it's just not going to happen. But we'll see. It's I just want it to be over with, and hopefully by the beginning of free agency, that will happen.
Yeah, it looks like a couple guys are pretty steadfast on a second. Again, I'll take it. I would be shocked, but I'm definitely not turning it down. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, if it was to happen, yes, I would take it in a second. But we all got to be realistic about what he is as a talent, even with a good shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. Which he wasn't. I mean, he was no different. I mean, I threw out a tweet because people were talking about that shoulder. I was like, hey, I don't know, but. Jimmy Garoppolo before the shoulder injury was a mediocre quarterback who was bad in the playoffs. It clearly affected him because after the shoulder injury, he was a mediocre quarterback who was bad in the playoffs. So same guy. He didn't change. He was the same exact player.
Yeah, there was absolutely zero difference.
Yeah.
I guess we could transition into the other big news that the 49ers have had this week, and that's the all the coaching turnover that they've had. 14 new coaches. There was a couple names on there that, of course, the Brian Griese, but I saw the name Clay Kubiak, and I'm like, wow, talk about blast from the past. Gary Kubiak. There was that, of course, you have Anthony Lynn. You have like all these people that are connected to like Mike Shanahan, and now Kyle has, their heir in the building. What do you make about all the coaching turnover? Are you of the mindset? I think I asked Jackhammer about this. That some of it was people who are not on board with Trey Lance, and then some of it just being guys were looking to, get a promotion.
Yeah, I can't say for sure. Here's what I can tell you is mid-November, I got a text saying that Scangarello and Welker would be gone at the end of the season. They're not on board with Trey. So take that for what it is. I can't confirm that myself. I don't have those sources, so I'm not going to say that that's gold or that's for sure. But what I can say is I find it interesting that I was told that in mid-November and then it happened. Now, obviously, Scangarello got a promotion, so good for him. Could be as simple as that. Usually when you have a position coach like Welker, leave one team and go to another team and have that same exact spot. First of all, it has to be okayed by the team that they're on now. Second of all, that usually means that you're not worried about losing that guy for whatever reason. So who knows? Maybe there is some truth to that. Maybe there's not. But regardless, none of that really matters. Even if they were here, first of all, Welker holds no bearing on Trey Lance, and Scangarello, although he would hold a lot, he would have done his job. He's a professional. So that being said, I do like the moves that they made. I think they made an upgrade for sure at the quarterback coaching spot. I love Griese.
Me too.
The fact that he played with Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan was his coach. He sat behind a Super Bowl winning quarterback in John Elway. Went also to Tampa Bay and was with John Gruden while Shanahan was on the staff. I think he's going to bring a lot to the table. Let's not forget that Harbaugh was also a quarterback and then a quarterback coach. He never coached and done anything. He went straight to the Raiders and was a quarterback coach. So we've seen that this can work. And the fact that this man played quarterback in this system, yes, I get the system has changed and there will be some nuances and things like that, but the expectation and knowing what a Shanahan coach wants out of his quarterback, that has not changed. And so he will be there to get Trey Lance ready. You add in Kubiak as the assistant quarterback coach. I think that's a great hire. You can never go wrong with a name like Kubiak. So I love what they did. I think Anthony Lynn's a hell of a coach. Losing Turner was huge, but they didn't have a choice. Sounds like there's some medical things there. So at the end of the day, I think top to bottom, they probably upgraded this coaching staff. That's just me. Their special teams guy they brought in, his name slips in my mind right now, but that's a hell of an upgrade. I think that the 49ers ultimately did make out and they will be better. And I like that there are fresh names, even if they have some sort of connection to Shanahan and that system, they are fresh names, fresh perspective. That's never a bad thing. And we do know that these guys that are brought on board certainly do value Trey Lance, do value this organization, and I'm excited to see it.
I agree on the special teams coordinator, and his name is escaping me also at this moment. If you would have asked me yesterday, if we would have streamed yesterday, I would have remembered. But he did pretty good for at least the first, I think, like 6 or 7 seasons.
Yeah.
They were like a top 10 special teams unit. And a lot of people attribute the decline of good players on special teams. So, if the Niners can somehow, I don't know, bring in better special team players and get a coach that is actually, aware of situations on the field, unlike their previous special teams coordinator, Hightower. Man, that one against Dallas, I wanted to punch the television screen. I mean, just so many times. Brian Schneider, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, there we go. I knew the chat would get us. They always got our back.
Thank you, chat. Yeah, Brian Schneider looks like a definite upgrade. I feel like a lot of these coaches are going to be under the radar upgrades that people are just sleeping on. To me, I think a lot of it are people that know the Shanahan way and that are extensions of Kyle and what Kyle wants. So it's pretty much just Kyle 2.0. Like, they all know what he runs. They all know whatever. And he's all those guys are going to be working with Trey Lance. Trey Lance is the future. Trey Lance is doing stuff with John Beck. There's actually a picture of him working with some other guy. I don't know. I mean, the kid, from what it looks like, wants to get better and is working on his craft. And to me, for all the stuff about Kaepernick and him not like investing into his craft and kind of thinking he was good and he didn't need to improve, Trey Lance is completely the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to that. Larry Krueger was big on that. He sings the praises of Trey Lance. He thinks he's not only a talented kid, but a heady kid. And that's what you want. I mean, especially with this offense, it takes a while. I mean, hell, Matt Ryan had an adjustment period with Kyle Shanahan's offense. And you can say what you want about Matt Ryan, but he's, for a while, he was a pretty damn good quarterback in the NFL. He's still pretty good. But yeah, I'm all for whatever means necessary to help the kid get better. When I saw Clay Kubiak, I was like, wow. I'm reading the names and I'm like, Clay Kubiak, I've never heard of that. Like, when did this happen? We have an Anthony Lynn who was, I think, on the 97 team. Of course, Kubiak was the famous backup that was with them for forever. And then who else? Brian Griese, of course, who took over after Elway left. And then him and Kyle worked together when Kyle was in Tampa early in his career. So it's going to be, dude, man, this is like a new era of the 49ers, man. It's like Seattle's changing. Arizona's in a state of disarray.
What a weird situation over there, right? Like, my gosh, talk about confusion. I don't know what's going on. Their GM and head coach got extensions. I don't know how you extend those guys, but more power to them, I guess.
I am not a fan of their head coach. To me, he's like Arians. They're just a product of the good players that they have. They're actually not really that good of a coach. Just like what's his name in Dallas? Same thing. Not a good coach. Like, they're only a product of how much talent they got around them. Kyle Shanahan is a damn good coach. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Kyle's choked. No, I think Kyle maybe has got uptight in big situations, but he's also had to work with what he had at quarterback and was his guy that just, for whatever reasons, when things got tight, his play went down the toilet, and he did his best with what he had on the field. And unfortunately, he tried to protect Garoppolo as much as he could, and still, even in those situations, Garoppolo found a way to sometimes give games away. So, it's going to be, it's just like a whole new era, really. Seattle is going to go through their thing. The Rams, they're kind of like, to me, it's the Rams and then Green Bay and then us. I feel like if the Niners are going to do anything, it has to start now. They have to take advantage of this window, especially with Trey being on the cheap. So I'm excited, but I'm also nervous. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, right. The pressure is bigger than ever because this window does seem to be wide open. So there is, like, especially when you see the team do good, right? And you're hearing all these great things about Trey. Like, you go from being the hunter to the hunted, and that's a whole different pressure cooker that you've got, right? So, yes, there is a lot of pressure, but I'd much rather have that pressure than the pressure of, oh my God, we got to get to the playoffs. Otherwise, we're losing everybody on this team anyways. So, I'll take this pressure.
Yeah, this is gonna be like, I am a big draft guy. It's gonna be interesting this year with this, just how everything's gonna transition after the draft, because we're gonna go right into, we're not gonna have a first round pick. So I feel like I think free agency is mostly gonna be about trying to re-sign as much as we can. I really don't see a really huge big name. I feel like it's business as usual with the 49ers. It's one decent guy in free agency, and then a bunch of re-signing your own players, and then it's straight to draft season. So it's going to be interesting, though, without a first-round pick, which I think the Niners can do without, because for some reason, other than Nick Bosa being a slam dunk and maybe Brandon Ayuk, they've really screwed the pooch in the first round. So it'd be interesting. Like me and you talked about, I haven't really followed the combine and all that stuff. I know there's some channels out there that really do a freaking just did a fantastic job covering all that stuff. I just I get into it a little bit closer to the draft, and so for all you guys that want to see me talking about the combine, it's not my forte. There is plenty of guys that do it, and they do it really well. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's tough when the 49ers don't have a first round pick. Like, I definitely geek out about certain things. And there are players that I've been watching. Combine, to me, it used to be a lot of fun, but I just feel like so many names rise up and then fall apart in the NFL. I prefer to kind of stay away from that as much as possible. That being said, I'll watch the condensed version here in a couple of days and probably talk about it on my show. But at the end of the day, I don't take of a lot of really anything from the combine, just because I've seen it too many times. You see guys that come in, they show out, and they're just not good football players. Like, that happens more often than not. And but it is nice to see kids that are probably going to be good football players, guys like Christian Watson, what have you, that come in and they are better physically than what you thought, and they were already good football players. Like, I love that. But when a guy just comes out of nowhere and is like, oh, he's a 4'2" guy and he's 6'4" and he's a freak, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's gonna be great. And then he gets to the league and he's Taylor Mays. Like, okay, I don't care, So for me, I'd rather watch film. I'll spend time pouring into that for sure. But yeah, the combine, it used to be a lot of fun. And maybe the COVID stuff, not having it, for a little bit, maybe that just kind of whatever, it's hard to get back into it. But at the same time, the 49ers don't have a first round pick, so it could be that as well.
I like your thumbnail. I don't know if that's supposed to be Tom Cruise.
So funny.
He says, "Yeah, I don't take the combine too seriously either. Either Rice ran a 4.71. Yeah,
right.
The combine to me is, it's almost like when a bunch of dudes go down to the beach with their like souped up cars, and the chicks are there, and you show off for the chicks. And it's like a what measuring contest, but then the guy turns out to be a toolbox or a complete idiot, and he just has a really nice car. To me, that's all it is. It's just a pissing contest, really, the combine. I will say the Christian Watson guy that you brought up, the wide receiver from North Dakota State, that is one name, for as much as I haven't been following things, that everybody's talking about, that they would love to see him. teamed up with Trey in San Francisco. But a lot of people are saying that because he had such a good combine, the chances of the Niners actually getting him or him falling to the Niners are pretty much next to nothing now. So
Yeah, he was a third round guy, and now they're saying he could be, early to maybe first round. I mean, 6'4", like a 38-inch vertical leap, 39-inch vertical leap, ran a 4.36. By the way, I had a NDSU insider on
yes,
the
you
day
did.
before, and he said that he was going to run a 4.35, and nobody believed it. And then he ran a 4.36. So, I mean, basically called it. But yeah, I mean, this kid's he's good. He's very good. Pairing him with Trey, I could see the intrigue there, especially after Burrow and Chase come out and do what they did this last year. But at the end of the day, the 49ers don't need a receiver.
No, they
Trading
don't.
up for a guy, I think, would be a little bit crazy, but hey, we'll see what happens.
If you had not necessarily a person, because like you said, us in the combine, it's like whatever. If you had a position of draft focus, you want the Niners, if you had to say three of them, because that's kind of where my mind is. I think it's like offensive line, edge rusher, and corner. What would be your areas of focus?
Yeah, same. I mean, nickel corner for sure. Interior offensive line, absolutely. And then edge, again, my perfect off season, at least right now, I mean, it's going to change, but would be go get Tyrann Mathieu, go get a veteran corner like a Kyle Fuller, something like that. Somebody who's been in the league for a long time, can compete for that number 2 spot and be a hell of a depth piece. Somebody who's always healthy, something like that. Then I'm going to go get a nickel corner in the draft to compete with Diamador Lenore. I'm going to draft an interior offensive lineman who can move to center once Mac retires, but plays guard for a year, competing with Moore and Banks at the guard spot. And then I'm going to draft an edge guy to make up for some of the losses I'm going to have on that defensive line. So that's how I'm attacking it personally. There are some guys that I've looked at and wouldn't mind having, but regardless of how it falls, I'm taking best available at those 3 spots and figuring out what I can do in the draft to fill them.
I feel like the Niners they have elite level players at some pretty key positions. And I feel like with the Niners, the draft is basically just building depth. So you're not like a top heavy roster. A lot of people say that about the Rams, but unfortunately it's, like I said, I was on Payo Time's channel and he told me that, they've really hit on a lot of mid and late round picks, and it just makes everything they're doing with all these big names work that much better. Because if they were so top heavy, then that means that 2 or 3 players are not going to make a team. But the Niners have so many good players at such key positions that they had an elite level linebacker. They have an elite level pass rusher. They have an elite level left tackle, tight end, running back / wide receiver. I mean, say what you want. I mean, there's been some misses, but the Niners have built this roster. It's a pretty damn good roster.
Yeah.
That's why the expectation has to be so high, because it's time, man. You know what I mean? It's time. It's time to, push your cards in the middle of the table, put up, shut up. I'm ready. I'm nervous. There might be some growing pains with the kid. I definitely think there will be, at least early on, maybe. As far as free agency, do you have any focus of position as well? Would you mind them maybe hitting the edge, bringing in maybe I heard that there was a focus on Twitter, or it was either Twitter or another content creator, that it's tackle and mid-level cornerback in free agency would be, if they were going to attack anything, it might be those 2 positions. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, corner is always a spot. I mean, I got to look at where the 49ers draft well, right? And we know they draft linebackers. They do that very well. They actually do a pretty good job of drafting receivers. Defensive line, they usually get bargain bin shopping through free agency. Offensive line, I would say, probably free agency, just because who knows what happens with Banks and Moore long term, right? But Lakin was a trade. Mac was free agency. We know that McGlinchey, some people love him, whatever. He's fine, but he certainly isn't worth the 9th overall pick. So, for me, like I'm looking at those positions that I haven't traditionally drafted well, and I'm probably going to get those guys in free agency. So, yeah, I mean, it just depends. Who's out there, what's cheap. Corner for sure. Like I said, to me, dream scenario, Matthew, Kyle Fuller. Like I'm shoring up the secondary through free agency. I am going to draft a nickel corner guy to compete with Diamador Lenore.
No DJ Reed for you?
No, I don't really care for DJ Reed. I mean, I don't know. He's cool, I guess. For me, I'm good on DJ Reed. If Matthew falls through, then I'm still looking at guys like Cordero Patterson, because I'm personally letting Mostert walk. So I would love to have a guy like Patterson to come in and fill that role, be a kick returner. Also, I can just imagine him, Debo, and Trey Lance on the field together would be an absolute nightmare with Shanahan calling plays. Edge guys, I'm looking at guys that are a little bit older, but very productive. I'm looking at a guy like JPP I would like to bring in. So,
yeah,
I definitely have some names and guys that I like. It all depends. I think the Mac Domino is a big one. We got to figure out what's going on with him. I'm sure the Niners know. Hopefully it's not a situation like with Staley where they knew he was going to retire and then they hold off until they make a trade for his replacement. But assuming he's coming back, I'm going to draft a guy and groom him to be the eventual replacement at center. That's such a pivotal spot for the 49ers offensive line, being that those guys call protections and blitzes and the mic and all that stuff. It's important that the center spot is solidified long term. And so, again, getting a guy in the draft that you can groom while potentially he plays next to Mac at right guard or left guard or whatever they end up doing, that would be massive. So for me, those are the moves that I'm kind of looking at making. That's how I would attack the offseason if I'm the 49ers. But they'll do the exact opposite, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to hit these last couple of topics because I want to get you out of here. I know you have to like sleep and live and stuff. But one thing I think that the Niners really have to be focused on is really getting ready to pay Debo. Do you think do you think Niners are going to do right by him and get him in before camp? And so there's no possibility of a holdout. Because I asked a question in a video yesterday, a little short video. I said, if there was a chance, what do you think Debo would do? You think he'll hold out? Do you think his agent will keep him off the field? Or do the Niners do right by him, get him in and get him done before camp? I seem to think that I think they will. I have no doubt in my mind, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll get it done, but they got to get it done fast. Aaron, this one's important to me. Like, this is as big as any other free agent.
Yep.
Getting this deal done fast is so important because you do have guys like Adams, who they're obviously working out something. He was franchise tagged. You have guys like DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin, and many other guys, Cooper Kupp, guys that are coming up and are going to get paid. If you let any of those guys sign a deal first, that means you got to one up that deal. Debo's next. You got to come in and set the market. Let all those other guys get paid more so that in 2 years, Debo goes from the highest paid receiver to like the 8th highest paid receiver. Like, that is something you can deal with. To me, I'm not messing around with this. If Debo wants, I've been throwing out the prediction, either a 4-year between 93 and 100 mil, 5-year between 105 or 110 and 125, anywhere in there. He's going to get paid that, and he deserves that. You also have to remember Debo's older. Debo's 26 years old. Believe it or not, he's a year older than Juju Smith-Schuster, who seems like he's been in the league forever. Debo came in the league much older than these guys. So Debo knows, and his team knows, that he legit, the way he plays football, may only get one big deal. So if that means he has to hold out if the 49ers are not playing ball, I do believe he will do that. And I believe he should do that. I would, if I'm advising him, I'm advising him to do that. They have to get it right. And he's going to want the bag. He deserves the bag. And I would be shocked if it's anything less than 22, 23 million a year.
Yep.
That's just what you're going to have to expect. But again, get it done first. allow these other guys to come in over the top, and then it doesn't look so bad in 2 years.
I guess the same thing with Bosa. Do you think I don't think Bosa is getting signed. They're not going to do anything this year. You think that's more of a next offseason type thing? Kind of the same deal. I mean, he's going to have to set the market as an edge rusher. 30
Yeah,
million
I think
per.
again, if they're smart, they try to get that deal done. But I know that the Bosas are very smart and very savvy.
Yep.
That family wants to get paid. They know how to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
They know that salary cap is going way up. They know another good year and he's going to get paid even more than what they're going to try to pay in this offseason. That 30 million annually becomes 33 to 35 million annually if he puts up 20 sacks next year. So,
oh my Lord, that's a lot of money.
I personally think Bosa is going to he's going to bet on himself. He's not going to want to work on a deal this offseason. If he does, that's a good thing for the 49ers, but if he doesn't, and I don't expect him to, based off of kind of the way that I've seen that family operate, he's going to bet on himself, and he's probably going to bet big and get even more money than what he would this offseason. So, yeah, I would say probably not this offseason for Bosa.
I guess the last thing I'm going to ask you, and then we'll get out of here. If you had to give me I put this on here probably like in one of my last live streams too, and I just kept it on. Early 2022 predictions. If you had to go with a record, because I feel like, to me, you have the kid, he's starting, he's probably going to have some ups and downs. I look at our record this year, and if we've had the same record next year, especially when you look at our schedule and you see how tough it is, I wouldn't be totally upset at that if we had a similar record. What are you kind of in the same ballpark record wise with Trey?
Yeah, I think they go 11-6. I think they go 11-6. I think they can up it slightly. The schedule is definitely tougher. The AFC West is now the best division in football with this move. They got to play the AFC West. They obviously have 2 games against Arizona, 2 games against the Rams. Seattle obviously is not a big deal anymore, but division games are always tough regardless, right?
Exactly.
So,
we say that about Seattle, and then they go and beat us.
Right. Exactly. So you just never know what's going to happen there. They have a much tougher schedule for sure. But I would say 11-6 is fair. And as long as they make the playoffs, they're going to be good. I mean, Trey Lance with 17 games under his belt going into the playoffs is going to be scary for some of these other teams. I guarantee it.
It's going to be interesting next couple of days, man. I hope some dominoes start to fall, because I get sick of talking about the same things and talking in circles. I'm actually going to be on Jay and the Bays stream next Monday, hopefully talking about some free agency stuff. Who knows? I know that Juju Smith-Schuster was someone, again, like you said, we're connected to everybody. He was another name that's out there. I'm like, there's no freaking way they're doing that. People do. When people do that stuff to me on Twitter, I always say, stop it. Don't do this to me, because I start to fall for it. And then the Niners go into free agency and it's crickets.
Yeah.
And then
they sit on their hands.
Right.
They sign Samson Ebicom and you're like, okay, cool.
And everybody's hot because the Rams go out and get it. So,
right.
Hey man, I had a blast. You're always super informative and easy to talk to. If you want to tell everybody what's coming up on your channel, because I think it's pretty cool what you had on there and what's coming on, if you want to let them know real quick.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag because it's not locked, signed, sealed, and delivered. But I can tell you I've had Trey Lance's personal quarterback coach on multiple times during last offseason. Recently had an NDSU insider on last night, in fact. But I'm working on a guest right now that, if it comes through, I don't think it'll be live. I think it'll be a recorded interview. But if it comes through, is bigger as far as knowing Trey Lance, and more important to Trey Lance's development and why he's here than any of those guys. And that's not to take away from his quarterback coach, Sean McAvoy, who I absolutely love. He's a fantastic guy. Also quarterback coach for Malik Willis, who they have coming out this year. But yes, he is. This guy would be even bigger than that. And so if it goes through, should happen tomorrow night, should be posted either late tomorrow night or early the next morning. But I don't want to jinx it. So nothing's set in stone. But there is a name that I'm working on, and I think you guys would absolutely love it. So that being said, Last Second Sports, tap in over there, like, subscribe, hit a bell notification so you don't miss that episode. And if it hasn't happened already, make sure we get Aaron here to 4,000 subs. He is oh so close. So let's try to get him there.
Appreciate
By the
that.
time he wakes up in the morning, let's let him wake up to 4K. Is that
Oh,
number next to
that
his
would
name?
be fabulous. I actually had something in the works too before we go. I'll let everybody know. I kind of hinted at it on my community tab. I got in contact with William Floyd's son, who is his agent, and I try to get something, but unfortunately, he only does paid interviews.
Oh,
Unfortunately, guys, I don't have that kind of money. I mean, I could mortgage my whole, like my house and try to go get an interview with someone like that. But I don't think that'd be a good situation. But yeah,
no.
I talked to Barnun's son, and his son was really nice. He said his pops only does paid interviews. If I was able to do it, guys, I would have loved to have had him on here because I had a couple key questions I wanted to ask him. One being with the Niners and the Rams being kind of like the rivals, like you and Dallas were. I wanted to ask him what was the mindset, even though you were a rookie, that 94 season, and how much pressure was on you guys to win. That was the question I wanted to ask him. But unfortunately, I'll keep trying. I've tried for Eric Davis. He's responded to me on Twitter and then nothing. So
He does. Yeah, he does that. He did that to me too.
I think he did it
does
to you
this.
too. I'm like,
Yeah, he does
oh,
those mailbag things, and I'm like, hey man, why don't you come on the show? He's like, yeah, dude, let's do it. And I'm like, your DMs aren't even open, bro. Like, you're not it's not gonna happen. Like, don't say
yeah.
that you're gonna do something if you're not gonna do it. But no, ED's dope.
I like
Great
ED.
follow on Twitter, but yeah, he's a tough one to get locked down too.
He's like Dante Whitner. His drip is super nice.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for sure.
If I was rich, dude, I like being in suits. I would have serious
All
suit
the time.
drip. Oh, I love it.
All the time. Yep.
All right, guys, everybody take care. Thanks for having a really strong stream. I think I got up almost to 80 viewers in here tonight. So
Good.
freaking
Nice.
awesome, guys. Everybody have a great night. Stay safe and healthy. And you guys already know what I'm going to say. I'll see everybody on the flip side. Good night, everybody.